Now, I don't know how much of Hard Knocks is scripted, but I will say this. I'm not a big Jon Gruden guy. He's got a lot of sycophants in the media, people who love him, and he could do no wrong.
He's
and
also
he's
got a lot
shucky.
of haters, though.
Does he?
Yeah, I feel like he's in a spot to where no matter what he does, it's going to get some criticism. Anything that he does is going to get criticism based on who he is. He's boisterous. There's a lot of noise around him, and I feel like people were waiting to pounce on him last year, and they got a lot of grief last year. They weren't a good football team.
They were terrible,
and they were not good at all. But I feel like people are not really wanting to give him any slack or give him credit, even for the Super Bowl that he won in Tampa Bay, the easy go-to as well. That was Tony Dungy's players.
Yeah, and what did he do after the Super Bowl year?
Okay, but why
he melted down? He was awful.
Why didn't Tony Dungy win a Super Bowl with those guys? It's the same.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
It's the same thing people did with Chip Kelly, because Chip Kelly went at it a different way. And when Chip Kelly got to Philadelphia, he went 10-6, and the Eagles won the division.
Was that with Nick Foles?
Yeah, with Nick Foles, the 27-2 year. And everyone said, yeah, but he did that with Andy Reid's players. Oh, you mean Andy Reid's players that were 4-12 the year before? Get out of here, man. Like, people pick and choose how they want to approach certain coaches and certain players. And I feel like Gruden's one of those guys who's going to get a lot of love, to your point. A lot of people are going to ball wash him, and then there's going to be a lot of hate thrown at him.
Right.
Well,
I don't remember, but did Dungy's team the year before Gruden took over, they were pretty good, right? I think they were a playoff team.
They were good for a while.
It was just that they couldn't get over the hump.
Right,
and sometimes you need that, similar to Mark Jackson with the Warriors, right?
Yep.
Very good coach. And then Kirk comes in, makes one little change with the Draymond
100%.
Green, very fortuitous, and they go on to a dynasty. But I personally think Gruden's going to be a massive failure with the Raiders. I think the only reason he's there is because of the move to Vegas coming up. Right?
Oh, yeah.
I think we can agree they need a splashy name to enter Las Vegas, and here's Gruden. But I'm telling you, and we'll get to Antonio Brown soon, this latest stuff from Antonio Brown is a total clown show.
Oh, it's great.
I mean, you
It's
pay him all this
wonderful.
money, and now we don't know if he's going to be around for week one.
Let me tell you something. Some guy walking around with a ham sandwich on his feet is a gift from the radio gods to us in early August. I can't get enough of it.
And I do want to remind folks, the Jon Gruden fanboys out there, both of you, after they won the Super Bowl, Jon Gruden turned off like everybody in Tampa. Him and Keyshawn Johnson went at it. Him and Joey Galloway, Chris Sims. I mean, Chris Sims was like, Gruden tried to run me out of town at the lowest point of my career after a near career-ending injury. John Gruden is a bit of a psychopath.
Yeah.
I don't know him personally. He's
not
fine in the
reckless.
booth.
I mean, not reckless. Psychopath, a little bit personal.
I mean, listen, at some point, Jonas, we all have foundational values in life. Honesty.
Yes.
Right? I want to be honest with people. And I try not to get angry anymore. I'm not as young as I used to be. Dude, when I was in my 20s, I would get angry quick. When I'm a young guy, it didn't really matter. Life was totally different. I would get angry quickly. Why am I not moving ahead in my career fast enough? Why are you not driving fast enough?
That's that East Coast in you.
It is the East Coast.
Very violent.
And I will say, I will say this. I've never been in a fight in my life, but I used to get angry. I don't get angry anymore. I mean, maybe it's having the kids, but I've toned down my anger. And Jon Gruden is, 50?
Yeah.
And he's still seething in anger 24/7.
He feels, though, the TV stuff did a weird thing to him, because he feels it, and you watched last night, and we have a little bit of Jon Gruden last night on Hard Knocks. He feels like, yes, there's still that bite, that P and V, if you want to call it, but that he has sort of taken more of a polished approach. Here was Gruden last night on HBO.
Everybody right now has dreams, don't they, guys? I said it to the rookies, all right? Everybody in the NFL, I have a dream of making it in the NFL. I got a dream of winning a Super Bowl. I got a dream of being in a Pro Bowl. I'm really not into dreams anymore, okay? I'm into nightmares. You guys with me on that? You got to end somebody's dream. You got to take their job. You got to take their heart. Are you guys clear about this NFL now? We're not trying to go to the Peach Bowl. We're not trying to go to the Gator Bowl or the Bluebonnet Bowl. We're trying to go to the Super Bowl, okay? And to do that, you got to really try to end somebody's dreams. Are you clear on that, Farrell? Okay? I mean that now. So get into that.
You know what? That got me fired. Round of applause for Jon Gruden. Thank Christ.
No, I'm not.
Round of applause.
Are you like that?
There he is, ladies and gentlemen.
How long did it take him, Jonas? How long did it take him to write that? Because it's going to be perfectly crafted for Hard Knocks, and it'll go viral.
Listen,
and radio hosts will clap.
Listen, some people like 90210. Some people like Hard Knocks. I'm more of a Hard Knocks guy, and it's got nothing to do with my last name. All right, not a play on words here. But Jon Gruden delivered the speech of the season so far, and that's because the season is one game in.
How
Good for Jon Gruden.
inauthentic was that, though? It did feel so fake. I mean, it's so scripted. It's like, dude, get out of here with this garbage.
Of course.
You know, I mean, you think Bill Belichick's making dumb-ass speeches like that for the Patriots? And I know that's the greatest coach in NFL history. But I just don't want to hear that nonsense.
Well,
I'm not running through a wall for you, bro.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. If you watch the other parts of the show, you'll see that guys, a lot of them didn't really take him all that serious. I don't know that players look at him as this, puts the fear of God inside guys to where they've got to act a certain way, because he even had, one of the young players, the safety, Abrams, who was talking back to him a little bit when he was trying to tell him, hey, we need you to lay off on the hitting and we want to keep our guys up. Don't crash into some of our own players and all that. And he was getting a little bit of pushback there. So I have no idea how this is going to play out. But to your point, and you said it earlier, he was brought there because of Vegas. Right. I mean, and because of Vegas and because of the deal, Jon Gruden's going to get a little bit of it's going to buy him some time. Mike McCoy got an extra year with the Chargers because the Chargers were in the middle of a move, and they didn't want to just all of a sudden fire a coach and figure it out. Jeff Fisher got an extra year with the Rams because it was after the move that they finally decided, okay, let's make sure we got everything together here, and then if we want to think long term, we think long term. I think they're totally happy with Gruden. I think if Gruden, is just slightly above 500 and doesn't deliver a Super Bowl, I think they're good with it. He's going to get him to Vegas. He's a Raider. He's all about the past and the history of the Raiders, and I think Davis is going to be all right with that.
Well said. Very well said. I think Gruden will stick around. Obviously, they're paying him $10 million a year. But ultimately, if he's not winning, and I don't think there's a path to victory for them this year. I know you're big on gambling, right? You do the gambling show with RJ. I host a gambling podcast for FS1 called Coming Up Winners, and I'll tell you this right now. What's the over-under on wins for the Raiders? The 6.5?
6.5.
Yeah, there's no way I'm taking the over.
Really?
First of all, the Chiefs and the Chargers in that division are very good. I think the Broncos will be better than the Raiders. I don't see a path to 6 wins. I would definitely pound the under. And I'm telling you, this Antonio Brown thing, if this coach continues to go sideways and he's not there or there's an extended absence, where's that offense? Is it you going to lean on Josh Jacobs, the rookie running back, who I love? Right. I wanted the Jets to get him. But I don't. That offensive line is a bit of a mess.
It's all about what do you consider a success. If you think Jon Gruden winning a Super Bowl is the only qualifier that would be considered a success in Oakland for the Raiders / Las Vegas, then I think that the expectations are a bit much. I think him getting the organization back to a place to where they're respected and talked about, more importantly than anything else.
Buzz.
Create the buzz, much like you can say whatever you want about the Dallas Cowboys. They've won 3 playoff games in 30 years and all that stuff. But when Forbes comes out with their most the richest organizations out there, worth the most, the Dallas Cowboys are always number 1. And so Jerry Jones, although he wants that Super Bowl, he loves the idea of being able to be the most valuable franchise in sports, and that comes with not a lot of wins, not a lot of playoff wins, and 0 Super Bowls in a long time. So I think if you measure success by, hey, are we getting talked about? Is there buzz back in the organization? I think Gruden's the guy to bring it.
So
I'm
trying to look at the standings. The internet's down here, so I'm looking at 2018. How many wins did the Raiders have last year?
What were they? 4-12?
Okay,
4-12.
So
how about that?
Okay, so let's say they go 5-11 this year.
Yeah, it's baby steps.
At what point does buzz versus massive futility and top 5 picks? At what point does that outweigh the buzz that you're getting on Jon Gruden?
Well, they're gonna buy him some time, because if he goes to Vegas, they're gonna say, listen, brand new city, just got here, give it a couple of years. And next thing you know, we're looking at 5, 6, 7 wins, and we're like 5 years into the Jon Gruden experience. And all it takes is one successful season. You can stick around for a while. Look at Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher stuck around for one successful season when he got to a Super Bowl.
P.S. Where's Jeff Fisher right now? I just saw him at a car wash over here on La Brea Boulevard.
Oh, no kidding.
He works there.
Yeah.
He works. He's
does
employed.
He really? That's amazing.
I mean, this guy, Jeff Fisher, he's never working again in the NFL. Like, it's done. He was that bad. I mean, Jared Goff, remember the first 6 or 7 starts for Jared Goff? It was like, whoa, what a bust. And now Jared Goff is like about to get paid big time. He's dating an Instagram model. Like, he's leading the Rams to the Super Bowl. Jeff Fisher can't really coach. He's just not built for right now. I don't know if Jon Gruden is.
Jared Goff was He didn't even dress up. He didn't even dress for the first game of his NFL career. Think about that. Number 1 pick overall, and he didn't even suit up.
Who did Jeff Fisher start that year?
Case Keenum.
Oh!
Yeah.
Jeez.
You mean you actually have people who listen to this show?
So there's that. All right, he's Jason McIntyre. I am Jonas Knox, in for Rob Parker and Chris Broussard. This is the Odd Couple here on Fox Sports Radio. Now, Jason and I are very, very much against calls, okay? But we know Rob and Chris love to hear from you guys, and it's not that we think that we're better than you. We
are better than them. We're definitely better than them.
And we're fearful that you guys are going to get on the air and just vomit all over yourselves. But if you would like to prove us wrong, we're going to give 1 or 2 people a shot. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. This is a vomit-free zone on the phone.
Be interesting, right?
Yeah,
that's the number one
something.
thing. Be interesting.
Yes, and a compliment goes a long way. I just want to let you know that as well, too. So that'll be so we will take your calls at some point if they're not terrible. All right, so let's go to Mike, who is in New York, listening here on Fox Sports Radio. Mike, what's happening? No pressure, Mike. If you're terrible, we're shutting down all the phones.
Hey, what's up, guys? Super cool show. But I got to tell you, you're wrong about Chucky, and I'll just give you some facts. I've been watching the guys for a long time. First off, Chucky comes in 99, takes over a Joe Bugle disaster, 98, sorry. 4-12 team the year before, beats the Chiefs in Arrowhead on the last day of the season, which they hadn't done in 5 years. Brings in Rich Gannon, of all people. And I said, are you nuts? You're getting rid of Jeff George. You got the best arm in the NFL. You're bringing in journeyman Rich Gannon. And him and Al Davis built a monster, and they turned that thing around. They probably should have won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, they definitely should have won 2 Super Bowls. And last year's team, I mean, I was out there, man. That was a dumpster fire. That was a practice squad. I think I could have played for him. I wanted to come out of the stand and play for him. And Chucky's bringing it back, man, and you can feel it in there. You guys can feel it. I think you're just hating a little bit.
No, you want to take
maybe
this,
I'm
Jonas,
a
or
fanboy.
me?
Maybe I'm a
Hey,
fanboy.
Hey, listen, Mike.
Mike,
How's
that's
all
not
that?
bad.
How's all
Mike,
that?
that's not bad.
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad?
Did
Let me
his
just tell you this,
research,
Mike.
not bad.
Hey, Mike,
Right
thanks
on.
for the call. Listen, Mike, 20 years ago, like you were just citing with Jon Gruden, I could go into a bar and walk out with maybe 6 numbers of girls. Right now,
Look at
I
you,
go into a
man.
bar, I don't know how to talk to women. I've been married, I got kids. I've been like showing them pictures of my kids. I don't know what I'm doing. Right now, Jon Gruden does not know what he's doing. Next call.
All right, there it is.
I'll let you take that. I'll let you slice up the next guy.
And I'll just say this. I would disagree slightly with Jason McIntyre, but we will wait to see what
About the
Marty,
girls or
what
about
Marty in Kentucky has to say here on Fox Sports Radio. Marty, what's going on, man? Marty in Kentucky.
Going once.
Marty in
Yeah,
Kentucky.
this is why I don't do calls, bro.
Let's go. Marty in Kentucky.
Y'all hear me?
Oh,
Yep.
there he is.
Hey, I'm going to get to the point quick. Jon Gruden's the biggest waste of money the NFL's ever seen. Oakland should have never spent that money on him. He won a championship with Tony Dungy's defense, and he's made money with his mouth ever since. I promise not to vomit on the radio because FSR gets a bag full of vomit every weekend on the Jason McIntyre show.
Oh, wow. Look
Nicely
at that.
done.
Look at
Marty,
that.
hey, that was good, Marty.
Marty, all the way from Kentucky. He's got those Dalsum legs if you're a Street Fighter fan, because he just kicked you square in the nuts
He
on
came
national radio,
off
Jason
the top
McIntyre.
rope and
wow.
just drilled me with was it a forearm off the top rope?
That was
Is what
amazing.
that was good.
Yeah, really
Superfly
good.
snooker, actually.
And he ripped into Jon Gruden. Here's what I would say. You collect anything growing up? Was there anything that you collected,
I was a
Jason
baseball
McIntyre?
card guy.
Okay. If somebody, like an avid baseball card collector.
Yeah, I had a pretty solid collection.
If you found out that there was something and there was only 32 made on the planet, that would be a hot commodity, right? You'd want to get your hands
the
on
Ken
that,
Griffey
correct?
Jr. Upper Deck rookie card. Remember that one?
If you could get your hands on that, you would feel special, right?
Pretty much.
Yeah. 32 men walking the face of the earth have been a head coach that's won a Super Bowl. Jon Gruden's one of them. Have a nice night, everybody.
What a good
All right,
stat.
here we go.
32.
Ladies and gentlemen,
wait.
we are
I feel
brought
like
to
we
you,
need more on that. I'm trying to think of a bad coach who's won a Super Bowl.
32 men in the history of planet Earth have won a Super Bowl as a head coach. Jon Gruden's one of them.
That's a great stat.
Rarefied air. We are brought to you by TrueCar. Car shopping can be confusing with terms like dealer price, list price, and invoice. TrueCar shows you what other people paid for the car you want, so you can recognize a good price when you're ready to buy a new or used car. Visit TrueCar to enjoy a more confident car buying experience. Antonio Brown's feet. What the F? What the F is on his feet? So the story is cryotherapy. He didn't wear the proper foot protectant, and he ended up getting frostbite on his feet.
Have you done cryotherapy?
No.
It's awesome.
I've heard it's great. I've heard it's great.
It's effective. But now apparently this happened in France. That's what I'm seeing from a reporter that I know. He was in France, maybe didn't speak parlez-vous français, Mr. Brown? No, he's like, whatever. When you go into cryotherapy, you have to wear socks.
Yes.
Not your own. They usually provide them for you.
And mitts, right?
And mitts. And there are usually Crocs that you wear. Now, I'm not a Croc guy. I don't own a pair of Crocs. But you put the socks and the Crocs together, and you're going to be fine. Also, they limit you to either 2 or 3 minutes in the cryotherapy. There's no way this should be happening. Is this total BS from Antonio Brown to get out of preseason? Let me ask you that.
I don't know, and I don't think that he would need to go that route to get out of preseason. I don't think anybody really cares about preseason anymore.
Including Antonio Brown.
Yeah, I don't. I think if he wanted out of preseason, they'd be okay with it. I think that would be something that the Raiders would be fine with. It's
new
preseason.
Quarterback, new offense, new everything.
Look, you can't, no pun intended, you can't fake the funk on the bottom of his feet. I mean, it is terrible. Like we talked about, vomit on the air. He looks like he stepped in like bags of crap.
Oh,
and
you saw a photo of
him.
it?
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, I haven't seen the photo.
Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, you can't fake that. That's a legitimate injury, and it's a concern. And you can even watch on Hard Knocks. He couldn't cut. He couldn't do certain things. They kept saying, well, he wants to go so fast all the time. Well, yeah, it's not like he's a big guy. He needs his speed, his cutting ability, his agility. All that stuff plays into who he is as a wide receiver, which is what makes him an amazing wide receiver. The fact that the bottom of his feet are melting is a problem.
I do want to remind people.
It's weird.
So, wide receivers historically have been divas, right? And
Yes.
John Gruden dealt with one, Keyshawn Johnson in Tampa.
Didn't go well.
Just to remind folks.
Yes.
So they win a Super Bowl. Keyshawn was arguably the best player on that team. I forget who the quarterback was, but he was bad.
Brad Johnson.
Yeah. And Keyshawn was like the star offensively of that team. Warren Sapp was a stud on defense. The next year, Gruden and Keyshawn, boom, by midseason, hated each other. And Gruden refused to cut him because Keyshawn was still at the end of his prime, like 31 years old. So he just deactivated Keyshawn. Kept him on the road. He would rather pay Keyshawn than let him go somewhere else. And I'm telling you, like, that diva wide receiver, diva coach, I'm ready. I'm all here for the implosion.
Okay,
I can't
look,
wait, Jonas.
Hey, look, now I want it to work because I like the Raiders as an organization. I think it's fun. I think I think it's great. I think it's great that they're going to Vegas. I love everything about the Raiders. The mystique, the bad boys of the NFL. People forget, man, Al Davis was Jerry Jones well before Jerry Jones, except he was Jerry Jones X-rated. He was not fearful to take on the league multiple times over. There were multiple issues with the league, suing them, moving a team, moving them back. Al Davis ran that the way that he wanted to run it. And I want to see it work because I think it's a fantastic setup in Vegas, and they're the perfect franchise and team to be there.
Jonas, Al Davis died 8 years ago. I don't understand the love for the Raiders. Is this like a childhood thing?
It's the historical. Mark Davis is trying to bring back that luster, that lure of the Raiders, the great Raiders, the autumn wind, all that stuff.
With the Dumb and Dumber haircut. Right?
Look, did you see who was in the press box with him a year ago? I mean,
I did not.
Look, the guy's got doll hair, and he had an 11 out of 8 in the press box sitting right next to him.
Oh,
that's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, that's when you're is he a billionaire or just a multi?
No, I don't think he's a billionaire. No, he's the poorest owner in the NFL. Which is,
remember the stories last year about the Raiders going broke?
Oh yeah,
yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. So look, we'll see. But if it is an implosion. Hey, I'm here
Front
for
row,
it too.
Baby.
It's great for us as well here on Sports Radio. Tim, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And it's great to have you, especially seeing the first episode of Hard Knocks with the Oakland Raiders last night, and it debuted. It feels like this is going to be a home run with all the characters and everybody on that team, the personalities and whatnot. Was the excitement the same for you? Is it different than in years past going into this season, knowing what you're capable of?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There was definitely a lot of excitement when we decided to choose the Raiders, and that was part of the reason. I mean, from the top down, you've got Jon Gruden, who you know is going to be a home run and has been one of NFL Film's best wires for years. And then, of course, the personalities that they have between Derek Carr and Antonio Brown and throughout the roster, and obviously with all the first-round picks. So it really was a no-brainer.
Now, how much of these, when we're watching Hard Knocks and we obviously see the episode play out and we see, look, you can only put on an hour each. And how many episodes are there? 6, if I'm not mistaken? 5?
5 episodes.
Okay,
5.
so we're really only getting 5 hours of content, but I know you guys are there for quite some time. How much do we not get to see that we would be surprised by?
It's pretty unbelievable, actually. So for every 1 hour that actually makes the air on Tuesday night, there is about 400 hours of footage that doesn't make it.
Jesus.
Yeah. It's, that gets put away in the NFL Film Vault and sits in there for years.
Tim, hey, it's Jason McIntyre. I got a question. When you look back at last year's Hugh Jackson, the big blow-up that he permitted to go on air, a lot was written about that before the Raiders took air. Did Oakland come to you and say, hey, some of that stuff from last year, we want to nip that in the bud, so this stuff is off limits? Did Oakland and Jon Gruden lay down the law on what you can and can't air?
I think they just kind of wanted to get a grasp and an understanding of what it takes and what goes into the show and the process of how stuff makes air, where we are. And that's not different from any other team, I don't think. Whenever we pick a team going into that year, they don't really know what to expect. How many cameras we have, how many robotic cameras, all that stuff. So it's really just about establishing that relationship, getting to know each other, and building a trust.
He is Tim Rump, the director of Hard Knocks, with us here on Fox Sports Radio. Jonas Knox, Jason McIntyre here on FSR, in for the Odd Couple. Jason McIntyre said Jon Gruden's opening speech talking about nightmares was scripted. How many takes was that? Was that? Please tell me that was one take, because I was defending Gruden.
That was one of those moments. I think it was probably the first or second day of rookie camp, so it's really early on when we're out here. I'm kind of sitting around, and we're filming some things around the building, and I'm like, okay, waiting for something to happen, and then that moment happens, and I'm like, okay, this is the first thing that really looks like Hard Knocks. And of course, we put it out there as a teaser, and people loved it, and it was a no-brainer to start the show with that and really give people kind of a tease into what Gruden's capable of, what kind of head coach he is, and I think what you'll see in the next 5 episodes as well.
Tim, it's still early, I know, in the process and in the preseason, but is your sense that this Oakland team is going to be very good this year? I know that as a TV guy, that's kind of a random question, but you're behind the scenes. You said you got 400 hours of footage you guys are sifting through for one episode. I don't know. Do you get a sense this is going to be a very good team this year, a 500 team, or is it going to be a back-to-the-basement 4 wins?
I honestly have no idea. I mean, as a filmmaker, I think I'm probably not qualified to say whether or not. I mean, I know that they're a young team. I have to imagine they're improved just based on all the roster moves that they've made. But I think, like I was saying, I'm probably not qualified to make that determination.
A little behind the curtain here, Tim. Jason's got money on the Raiders season win total, so
under,
he wants a little bit of
under,
information.
Tim.
That's
I'm
all
on
this
the
is.
under.
That's all. It just comes totally selfish question.
I wish I could help you with some inside info.
Tim, last one for me here. We're talking to Tim Rump. He is the director of Hard Knocks, joining us here on Fox Sports Radio. I'm a sucker for football documentaries, and you do A Football Life as well, too, on NFL Network, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I've done 3 of them.
All right. I love those. I watch every single one. I've seen every single one. So I love Hard Knocks. I love Last Chance U. I love Football Life, all that stuff. But how much resentment do you get from certain coaches who it feels like coaches don't really want to do Hard Knocks a lot of time, but they're almost mandated? Is that just them speaking and trying to give the front that they're not all that into it, or is there real resentment on set there when you're filming?
No, I think it's really from misunderstanding what the process is, honestly. Any coach that doesn't understand what it is would probably think it's an intrusion. And coaches are private people. They don't want anybody that they view that's not part of their team around camp. But, that first couple of days that we're here, the first week, and now we've been there 2 weeks, I think they start to get comfortable with us, understand who we are, know us on a personal level. And it's all about building that trust. And I think that's where we are now with the Raiders.
He is Tim Rump, director of Hard Knocks. Catch it, and it's every Tuesday night. There's going to be 5 episodes, 9 p.m. Eastern time on HBO, correct?
10 p.m.
Okay, 10 p.m. My bad. 10 p.m. Eastern time on HBO. Every Tuesday throughout the rest of the season. Tim, thanks so much for the time, man. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Tim.
Jason McIntyre, Jonas, Knox here on Fox Sports Radio. We are coming to you live from the Geico Fox Sports Radio studios. It's easy to save 15% or more on car insurance with Geico. Go to geico.com or call 800-947-AUTO. The only hard part, figuring out which way is easier.
So I just want to ask, Hard Knocks, interesting stuff from Tim. He's not going to pull back the curtain too much.
Right.
Do you think we're going to get a Vontaze Burfict or a Richie Incognito episode? Because I'm being serious. Those are two of the craziest players in the NFL.
I mean,
or did the Raiders say, hands off, we don't want those guys anymore?
They spotlighted Richie Incognito on the first episode briefly.
But not in a manner that's normal Richie.
Yeah.
He almost...
just sort of him shaking hands with Antonio Brown. They showed Vontaze Burfict, where there was no issue there. I mean, Richie Incognito went to a funeral home and got in a fight with the guy at the funeral home because he wanted to remove his dead father's head. Okay. That was I think in the same offseason, he threw a dumbbell at a guy because he thought he was CIA at the gym. Okay. Can we just have that guy's own show, please, for the love of God?
Okay, so Richie, I've actually dealt with him a little bit. I don't know if you guys remember the Jonathan Martin, Richie Incognito stuff. So I know somebody who's friends with Incognito, and he was getting crushed in the press when the stories came out. So we ended up talking a lot. And he gave me a bunch of text messages between. It was a big story we broke on the big lead, 6-7 years ago. And Incognito's interesting. I'll say that. He seems normal, and then the stuff you see out there in the press, you're like, this ain't the guy I know.
And when you hear him talk, he's really bright, friendly.
He's intelligent. I've seen him at FS1, smart guy. Something's going on.
And a damn good football player. Yeah, 100%. And that's what I've always said. Look, we can talk all we want. He's already suspended 2 games about Richie Incognito. He shouldn't be in the league, and how's that guy in the league? You know what? I mean, first of all, he's in the league because he can still play, and he's good. And secondly, when you hear some of those stories, that's deeper than that guy's just a jerk. That guy might have some issues upstairs.
I think that's what it is.
And so I think you have to look at it a little bit differently.
If he's not playing football,
it
probably isn't pretty.
Yep.